if you don't love nature and love being out there, you ain't gonna put that much work into it. You ain't gonna be a trapper to begin with if you don't love the great outdoors and have a deep passion and respect for it. What I love about trapping most is the atmosphere, just that getting up in the morning, sipping your coffee, stocking the stove, knowing you've got a whole day of checking traps and mystery and anticipation, and you never know what you're gonna get. That's the best part about trapping. You never know what you're gonna get. I think it's a lot about the trapper and nature. He just has a deep respect for that animal. That's why he pursues him. Not to see blood spill.
I'm gonna go see how my mom's doing cooking. All right, brother.
It's one of the only things that's pure anymore. Got started in trapping because I was very interested in it, and I used to go down the road to my buddy Brian's, and he used to trap, and I was always fascinated with it, so from there on out I bought myself a couple traps and gave it a shot, and here I am. I was 9 or 10 years old when I started trapping. My experiences growing up in the country and living in is I wouldn't ask for any other life. It's what I know. It's what I grew up around. I come from a rich tradition of good woodsmen. My first season trapping, by myself and running my own trap line, I tagged along with my friend for a couple of years and learned a little bit about it, but he didn't know much himself. And the first trap line I ran was behind the house, and very discouraging at first. I entered the season with high hopes and no experience. The only thing I had to go from was books that I've read and from what the little he knew and what he showed me. I was checking empty trap after empty trap for week after week, and right about the time I thought trapping wasn't for me, I turned the corner and I seen my first catch ever, and it was a coyote. And not many people catch coyotes on their first try. And it was just a fluke, but that coyote hooked me, and that was that. Hello. What's going on, Rich? Trapping, brother. I think what makes trapping a family tradition is that many trappers have grandparents, ancestors that trapped, and just, I don't know, it's kind of a cool feeling to know that you're keeping that tradition alive. Deep down, you dig long enough, there was a trapper in your family. I just think it's something that if we don't keep it alive, it'll die. I think it's important to keep that tradition alive because, for one, America's economy was built on the fur trade, and people should need to know that.
New York's relationship with the fur trade dates back to the 17th century, when the present state served the Dutch as a colony known as New Netherland.
The way the trade worked essentially was the Iroquois, various tribes would bring them, as I said, down the Mohawk River to Fort Nassau and later to Fort Orange. Fort Orange and Beverwyck become Albany, making Albany the oldest continuously settled city in America. There's a letter that comes out of the area at one point that says there's no fresh meat available, either fish or meat, because all of the natives are out trapping furs.
Today, the fur trade's importance has lessened considerably. New York's trappers often participate for reasons other than money.
I've been around it a while, going to school. He's been doing it since he was, I remember elementary school, these guys were telling their trapping adventures, all that stuff. I didn't really care about it. I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. But, you know, I think I got into trapping in, I think it was like 10th grade. I was like 15 years old. I got into trapping. My best friend was a trapper. You know, I walked the trap line with him. Like, oh, this is pretty cool. You know, we didn't really catch anything. You know, a porcupine here and there. You know, but it was cool to get that close to an animal. You know, most people wouldn't have the chance to do that. Each pelt tells a story. You know, where every animal's not the same. They all have different habits and what they do, and that's the cool part about it too.
Sadly, I think the future of trapping in central New York doesn't look as bright as it did 5 years ago.
Trapping today, it's kind of funny because if you ask the average person what do you know about trapping, they probably don't know anything. Or if they know anything, it's something they heard, some pat line of, oh, well, trapping's cruel, and they know nothing about it. That most trappers are up early and out the door, and you learn so much about nature. You learn things that other people are clueless about.
Alongside facing economic turmoil, trappers also advocate for a better understanding of their craft.
You know, it is a sport that ends up with dead animals in it. I mean, that is the fact. But it's done as humanely and lawfully as you can.
Most of the guys I learned from, they'd show you a thing or two, and then you had to go from there. They wouldn't tell you their secrets that they worked for decades to learn. One of the misunderstandings about trapping is people think that the leg hold, the trap itself, cuts the animal's foot off when they step their foot in it, and that is not the case. All the foothold trap is designed to do is hold the animal there until you arrive to check your trap. I'll show you firsthand that it doesn't cut your hand off.
It's pretty humane as compared to what most people think when they think of trapping. No trapper wants to see any animal suffer. That's not part of our makeup. I would say we have a lot more respect for the animals than the average person, perhaps, because we're so in tune with the environment and with the animals.
There's a long, rich tradition in many different families of just the outdoors and spending time together, and it's kind of a cool feeling to know that you're keeping that tradition alive.